Good morning, students. So, in today's class, we are going to study a very important concept that is about the IPv4 protocol header format. In the previous class, we have discussed about the uh, internet working. What is basically internet is made of. We can observe in this case that it is consist of or lot of heterogeneity is present in case of the internet, because you have seen that to transmit the information from source to the destination, there can be different routers, there can be different uh, topologies that are involved and so on. So, but for this to occur, we need a glue, or we can say a particular protocol or a set of rules which can able to handle different types of heterogeneity or different types of devices that are involved in this. So that protocol, we call it as the internet protocol. And for the internet protocol, we have two versions, that is IPv4 and IPv6. So in today's class, like in the previous class also, we have started the basic structure of the IPv4 header. So that we are going to discuss. So let me make you clear that what is a packet is all about. So what is a packet in terms of TCP/IP or OSM model you studied? What is a packet basically? What is a packet? See, today we are going, whatever we are going to discuss is very important question. Most of the times or every year we can say it is asked for 10 marks. Explain the IPv4 or IPv6 header format. So I need your interaction with this. Otherwise, I'm not going to explain this, because your interaction is very much essential and it is not that easy what you understand. So what is a packet is all about?
A group of frames.
Okay, very good. Or we can consider it as a small unit of data. Can you agree with me?
Yes.
So what basically happens in case of the internet? So if you can remember the internet protocol, I mean, if you remember the TCP/IP protocol model, we have the 4 layers, that is the application, transport, network, and the host to network layer, or this data link layer and physical layer together we can call as the host to network layer. So what basically happens is our data. Okay, so the data can be your email. Okay, maybe you are having your Gmail account, you want to send an email, or your WhatsApp application, or maybe you want to send any music file and so on. That can be any of your information or your data. So when this data is being received by the transport layer, what this transport layer will do? Transport layer takes this data that is generated or that is being sent by the application layer, and it breaks them into smaller parts, or in sometimes we can call them as the small chunks. Okay, a chunk is nothing but a small piece of data, we can say. So the data will be received by the transport layer from the application layer, and what the transport layer will do, transport layer will break this data into smaller chunks, or we can say the smaller units. And these chunks, in case of the internet layer, so when this information it reaches the network layer, or we can say the internet layer, so both are same, internet layer, or we can also call as the network layer. So this internet layer will construct the packets, or we call them as the IP datagrams. Usually in case of when we talk about the internet layer, instead of calling them packets, in the OSM model we usually call it as the packets, but rather we can give it a proper meaning. We call them as the datagrams. Are we clear what is the basic concept of a datagram is all about? Everyone, are we clear with the datagram? What is the meaning of a datagram? Everyone,
Yes, sir.
please give responses. So now let us say that, okay, I will give a simple example, make you understand. Suppose you want to write a letter and you want to send it to your friend. What all things you will do? What you will do? Imagine that you are 20 years back and there are no emails and no WhatsApp and other things up there. You have to write the letter. What you will do?
Source address, destination address, and the content.
Very good. So in this case also, what we are trying to do here is we want to send the IP datagram. That is nothing but our information. So before we send our information, what it should consist of? It should consist of some data. Yes or no? And then followed by that, it should have the source and destination address that has to be present. Similarly, in case of internet, when we actually want to send this data packets or the datagrams, we will consider the entire like this. If you can remember the earlier diagram, so consider that this is your IP datagram. Okay, so what it will have two parts. One is your actual data. Okay, I can write it as D, the original data that you want to transfer, and then the header. So what this header will consist of? This header will consist of source address, destination address, version, and so on and so forth. So in today's session, we'll be discussing about this. Rather than discussing about the details about the data packet, we'll be discussing about only on this. Okay, that means when you are assume that you have finished with your content of the letter, so that is your data is ready, but you want to transfer it. So before you transfer it, what all you need to know? You need to know about source address, destination address, and so on. So that is what we call as the header. So we are going to study about the IPv4 header format. What all things are involved in this? So we are going to study about this IPv4 header format, or we can say it as the IP protocol. Is this clear to everyone? So we are going to study about data is there, whatever information you want to send, that is there. But how the header consists of the H part in the entire packet or the entire datagram, the H part we are going to study. So in yesterday also we have discussed how this will look like. So you in the examination you need to draw the diagram and what it consists of. So how many rows are there? If you can remember, fixed part, there are two parts we have discussed. So if you consider this as the IP datagram, now consider this as the IP datagram, I have made two segregation here. So first one, I can call it as the fixed part. Okay. And then the second part is of variable length or the optional part. Okay. So this is the fixed part and this is the optional part. Just to make it as O. This is the optional part, or we can say variable length. So what will be the size of fixed part? So here you can observe that the length, the entire total length of the header is of 32 bits. And how many rows we have? Yesterday we have discussed this. How many rows we have? Here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you consider 32 bits into 5 rows, what will be the fixed size? So this part that we have discussed. This part is what? Fixed part. Okay. So what is the size of fixed part? Every row is 32 bits. Okay. So 32 into 5. How many bits it will be?
160.
So 160 means what will be the bytes if you convert in terms of bytes? How many bytes it will be? Total is 160. Agreed. Very good. So 160 divided by 8.
20.
20 bytes. So what is the fixed size? The fixed size is 20 bytes. And then this is the optional part. So this optional can be included or it may not be included depending on the requirement. So this option can be maximum of 40 bytes. Maximum is 40 bytes and this fix is 20 bytes. So imagine that we are using fixed part will be same every time for every datagram. and this can be a variable one. It can be say 4 bytes, it can be say 6, 8, and so on. But what is the maximum capacity? Maximum is 40. So if I consider the total header, and imagine that if the total entire option part is also included of maximum say 40. So what will be total length of the header? It will be 60, because this is fixed is 20 and 40. Assume that if I'm using the option part at only 4 bytes. So what will my header length? What will my header length? Fixed part is 20. Optional part is how many? 4 bytes.
24.
24. So if you take it as optional part as 8, and my fixed part will be always same, it is 20. So what will be the header size?
28.
Plus 8, 28 bytes. Are we clear with this, everyone? Any doubts here? So this 32 bits, inside this we are going to study one by one. So in the IP datagram, we have studied like this. So one part is fixed part, another part is a variable length or the optional part. Now we will be discussing about the different fields that are involved here. So in the examination, how you are supposed to write? You have to draw the diagram and version field. So if you can remember, this is 32 and this is the exactly at the center. So if it is 32, what will be this part? From version to this particular gray color, it will be 16 bits. Again, from this onwards, it will be 16. So if you can keep on counting, version is of 4 bits, IH is of 4 bits, type of service is of 8 bits. Out of that, some part is not used like this. You have to write. Now, before going ahead, we will understand the IP datagram. Suppose you want to send the information, and every source and the destination will have some limit size, that is your capacity. Suppose, for example, in a simple example, every student has a capacity of understanding. So your capacity is, say, you can attend 4 classes on a day. Another student may attend 5 classes. Another student may attend 2 classes per day. So that is their capacity level. So similarly, every source and destination machine will have some capacities, or we can call in terms of maximum transmission unit or maximum receiving unit, how much they can receive it. Suppose, consider that we have a source and destination, and actually in terms of in a broader way, to send the information from source to destination, the datagram or the smaller units of small chunks has to travel many routers or many backbones and subnets and so on. But for our understanding purpose, to make it easy, I'm considering it as only one router. Okay, assume that our data, okay, our data here is of 500 bytes. Okay, assume that our data, that is the original datagram, is of 500 bytes. Okay, and for every datagram, what we need to attach? It will have the data packet. Here I'm talking about data packet. We have 2 things. One is the header and one is the data. So this 500 bytes is the actual data, and this 20 bytes is the header. How I'm taking 20 bytes as a header? Because here I'm not considering optional part. If you leave the optional part, it is again, it may be required, it may not be required. So if I discard this, what will be the size of this header? 20 bytes, yes or no? Yes.
sir.
So I'm considering my data size, the original data that I want to send is 500 bytes. But for that, what I need to attach? I need to attach the header. So fixed header is what? 20 bytes. I'm not using the optional, and this will be me. This is the actual packet or the datagram that I need to transfer from the source to the destination. But assume that the destination cannot have capability of receiving all the 500 bytes together. So its maximum transmission unit of this source byte and the destination maximum receiving unit, okay, we can say. So it can accommodate at a time only 200 bytes of information, not more than that. So that means this original data packet has to be divided further into small chunks again, or this we call it as the fragmentation. So when this original data packet has to be transferred to the destination. Where it will go? It will go to the intermediate routers. And what these routers will do? Router will have the information about the destination, and destination says that I cannot receive all the 500 bytes together at the same time. So its capacity is say 200 bytes. So it can receive maximum of 200 bytes. And your data is of 500. So this is not possible. So what the router will do? Router will break this 500 bytes of data into smaller sub packets, we can say, or smaller datagrams, or we call them as the fragmentation. So what is the meaning of fragmentation? The original data that we have will be distributed into smaller datagrams. And these sizes can be received by the destination. And this concept we call as the fragmentation. And when these fragments reach the destination, again these fragments has to be combined, or we call them as the reassembly. Are you getting it, everyone? Are you able to
Yes,
understand?
sir.
Assume that we want to send
Yes, sir.
20 students from one class to another class. Okay, from class A to B. But B says that I cannot receive all the 20 students. So what intermediate person will do, or the class manager will do, the CR or LR will break the 10 students into group of 5. So every time 5 students will be sent to the class B, and at class B again all these 20 group of 5 students will be combined, and this we call as the reassembly. So segmentation will happen at the router, and at the destination the reassembly will take place. So you can consider that we have this 500 bytes have been distributed like this: 148, 176, 176. If you calculate what will be this 176 plus 176 plus 148, what will be the total? Leave about this part, 20, 20, 20 you remove. You just calculate this 148 plus 176 plus 176. How much it will be?
498.
498? Or
No, sir.
5.
it will be how much? 500, right? Can you
Yes,
just
sir.
calculate it? Together 148 plus 176 plus 176. It will be equal to how much? 500. So our actual data of 500 has been again distributed. So there can be different routers in between as well, but we are not showing those routers. For our simplicity, we are considering only one router. So this 500 has been distributed into smaller packets, or these smaller fragments, we can say. And then again we are adding what? 20B. So can you tell me what is this 20B now? Can you tell me what is this 20B?
Header.
Very good.
Fixed path.
So this 20 is the header that will be added for every fragment. Clear with this, everyone now? So this is how actual data grams will be transmitted through many subnets, through many routers, and then it will reach the destination. And upon reaching at the destination, again these fragment has to be reassembled, because your information should together. Suppose that you are sending 500 MB of some video file or a PPT or something of that kind. It has to be distributed into smaller datagram, or the smaller fragments, we can say in a better way, and that will be sent to the destination. Clear with this, everyone? Any doubts here? Anybody has any doubts?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
So now we will understand the in detail about the IP protocol header format. So coming to the first one, that is the version. So if you consider this, how many bits it will be? So consider like here we have 32 entire together, and this is 16. Out of 16, again this is how much? 8. Again 8 is been distributed by 4 and 4. So version is how much bits? What the size of version field? 4 bits. this will indicate which version we are using. Currently, we are using IPv4. So this will be written in zeros and ones. So how you write zeros and ones in terms of 4? 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. Yes or no? If you remember the binary, in binary, how you will write? In binary, how you will write 4 with 4 bits representation? We can write it as 0, 1, 0, 0. Yes or no? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And next, we have the IHL. IHL stands for the Internet Header Length. So what is the size of the header length? That will be indicated with this 4 bits. So the fixed header length is how much? 20 bytes. And if you are including options, that will be also included. If you are not including options, assume that you are not including options. So the IHL will have the value of 20. Why? Because it is 20 bytes, or it can be in terms of words also. They may represent in terms of bytes, or it can be in terms of words. But if you are including the option field is like 4 bytes, what will the IHL indicate? It will indicate 24 because the fixed part is 20 and the option is of 4 bytes. So the value for the IHL will be what? 24 bytes. IHL will indicate the internet header length. Okay. So what will be the maximum size of the IHL? Can you tell me what will be the maximum size of IHL? And what will be the minimum size of IHL? Yes, somebody was answering. What is the minimum size of IHL?
Maximum can be 60.
Very good. And minimum will be?
20.
Minimum will be 20. Because the fixed size is how much? Fixed length of the header is how much? 20.
20.
So this will be 20 plus, if you are adding the options, that will be added. Otherwise, it will be 20 only. But option 5 will have said that it can be maximum of 40. So the maximum size of IHL can be 20 plus 40. So it will be 60 bytes. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
Next, we have something called as type of service, or in the earlier cases, or in some cases, we can also call it as the differential services. Earlier, they called it as the type of service, but these days we can call them as the type of service. So type of service is the field. Again, in that, it is a 8-bit field. Out of that, 2 bits are unused. So you can say that the gray part indicates 2 bits are unused. And this type of service, that is the 6 bits, will indicate the type of congestion control or the reliability, transmission capacity, speed. All those will be indicated with this type of service. Are we clear with this? What is the meaning of type of service? It consists of the 8 bits. Out of that, top 6 bits, initial 6 bits are used, and the remaining 2 bits are unused. So these 6 bits are used to mark the packet with the service class, and this service class can indicate the some notification information like what will the type of service. It can be reliability, it can be in terms of speed, or if it requires some services required for the error transmission or error handling or error checking. All those will be indicated at the type of service. Next, we have total length. So what is total length now? This is again a difference you need to understand. IHL and total length are two different. IHL is the length of the header, and whereas total length indicates the length of the header plus your original data. Are you not getting it? The total length includes everything in the datagram, that is both the header and data. Are you getting it, everyone? So the maximum size of this total length will be 65,535 bytes. It will be 65,535 bytes. That is the maximum length, total length. So total length will include what? Your actual data plus your IHL. Assume that your actual data is of 200 bytes. your actual data is of 200 bytes and your IHL, okay, that is a fixed part, you are using 20. So what will be the total length? What will be the total length? What I said, our actual data that we want to transmit is of 200 bytes and IHL is 20 bytes. Okay. What will be the total length?
220.
220. So that 220 will be represented with what? 16 bits. So what all you are studying here, like I said, IHL is 20 bytes. The value will not be 20 bytes. I mean, value is 20 bytes. But how it will be represented? It will be represented in terms of zeros and ones. So now when I say total length is 220 for the example, so 220 will be represented with what? 16 bits. Are you getting it? All the information will be in terms of zeros and ones. Remember, I can give a clear picture in the next slide. So that is about the total length. Next, we have something called as the identification field. So this allows the destination host to determine which packet a newly allied fragment belongs to. All the fragments of a packet contain some identification value. So like we said that we will be distributing our original data in terms of small fragments. So this identification field, which is of 16 bits, will indicate the identifier for every fragment. Suppose say that in this particular example, our original data is being distributed into 3 fragments, fragment 1, 2, and 3. So when these fragments are sent to the destination machine, it should understand this fragment belongs to which particular packet. Like in the example, I have shown only one packet or only one datagram, but there can be many datagrams. Suppose say that there are 4 datagrams, datagram 1, datagram 2, 3, and 4. So every datagram, imagine that it will be distributed into 3 fragments. So this identification field will indicate when the fragments are reached to the destination, it is used to identify a particular datagram belongs to which particular original packet or original datagram. So if this is reached, it will be like 1.1. Second one will be 1.2. Third one will be 1.3. Again, when the fragments of second datagram arrives, so it will be what? 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and so on and so forth. So that is the identification field. Are we getting it, everyone? Any doubts here? Everyone, are you following this? What is the meaning of identification? Yes or no? Please let me know what is the meaning of identification. Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
So it is of 16 bits and it is used to indicate the fragments they belong to which original datagram or to the data packet. Next comes is the next is of 16 bits. Among that we have 3 bits, okay, 3 single bit field, and among them the first one is unused. So earlier it was designed for some security purpose or something of that kind, but they didn't use it, so it is left blank. And then we have something called as the DF and MF. So these are the single bit fields which will be represented with either 0 or they will be represented with 1. So DF indicates do not fragment. Suppose say that you are sending a datagram and you have some secured information or some information is very confidential. So in such situations, you are giving the information to the router that this particular fragment or this particular datagram should not be fragmented. Okay, so there can be possibility of congestion or there can be possibility of errors if we fragment it. So we are putting some restriction, or we are telling to the router that we are instructing the router that do not fragment this particular datagram. So that will be indicated with 0 and 1. If it is indicated with 0, then it can say that it can be fragmented, but if it is set to 1, Because it's a 1-bit field, that can be 0 or 1. It indicates that do not fragment this. Similarly, we have something called as more fragment. So what is the meaning of more fragment? In our example, we have discussed that 3 fragments were there. Yes or no? How many fragments we had? 3 fragments. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
this
sir.
more fragment indicates that how many more packets are belonging to the same data packet or to the same original data. So if the more fragment is set to 1, it indicates that there is another fragment which has to arrive. Suppose say that 1.1 is arrived, so it will be indicated with 1. That means 1.2 must again come. After 1.2 comes, 1.3 also arrives. And what 1.3 will indicate? 1.3 will indicate with 0. Why? Because there are no any other fragments that belongs to this original datagram. Initially it will be 1 because 1.2 has to come. After that, this will be again 1.2, 1.3 because this has to come. But when this last fragment arrives, what will happen to this MF value? MF value will be indicated with 0. Are you clear with DF and MF? Do not fragment and more fragment. Everyone?
Yes, sir.
And then we have the fragment offset. So this fragment offset will be used. Okay, it is again a 13-bit field which is used to indicate the particular fragment belongs to which particular original data. So like I said that 1.1, 1.2. So for that we use this fragment offset. And next we have is the time to live. Time to live is nothing but a age or the validity. For every datagram, there will be some validity. Say like for 10 seconds or say 20 seconds, we put the age or like it is like a hop counter. So every router in the transmission, when it reaches the different routers, at every hop or at every router, this value will be decremented. And if that value reaches 0, it will be discarded. That means for every data packet or datagram that we are sending, in the header, we will put something called as time to live or the age. So the age, if you set it as 10 seconds or say 20 seconds and so on, at every hop, it will be decremented. So that means when this becomes 0, it will be discarded and again it will be used for the retransmission. So that means we do not want to keep the datagram infinitely in the subnet. So if there is some congestion or traffic occurs, it will lose all its information or it will be failed. So to avoid that, we are putting this time to live. After it becomes 0, this packets or datagram will be discarded. Again, it has to be retransmitted. Next, we have something called as the protocol. So when this datagram is being received at the destination, it has to be sent to what now? It has to be sent to the next layer, that is to the host to network layer. So in which protocol it should use? So for that, we will be using this protocol. Okay, whether it can be TCP or UDP. So which protocol should handle this further datagram, that will be indicated with this protocol. And next we have something called as the header checksum. So like we have studied the checksum, yes or no? Everyone has studied the checksum, error detection mechanism,
Yes, sir.
previous semester. Okay, so which all types you have studied?
CRC.
CRC, cyclic redundancy. Okay, so these are the different checksum mechanisms. So this checksum mechanism is not for the data, it is for the header. Like if there is any problem with the version, if we are receiving some wrong numbers in version or header length or total length, so that will be checked at the header checksum. So for that, use this header checksum. If there is any mistake in the header information, so that header information can be corrected by using any of the checksum techniques like CRC. For that, we use this header checksum. Again, it is of 16 bits. And the Next one is the source address and the destination address. So source address will be represented with 32 bits, and similarly we have the destination address, which will be also represented with 32 bits. And these source address and the destination address are unique. They cannot be same. And I also shown you the IP address. If you open the terminal and if you take IP config, you will get your address. Are you getting it, everyone? So source address is the original source address, and then the destination address that will be represented with 32 bits. So it will be universally, it is defines the connection of the device or the computer or to the router or to the router to the destination. So they are unique. It means that every address defines one and only one connection. So for that, we use this source address and the destination address. And then this option field has different services. So option field has got different services can be given by this optional field. That is, we can use it for security or strict source routing, okay, or loose source routing, record routing, timestamp, and so on. So if you are using this optional field for security, so it specifies how secret the datagram is. For example, confidentiality of data or the data is very secured. For that, we can use this security. Similarly, it can be strict route routing. So assume that we are putting a restriction that strict routing means the packet should follow the same path. It gives the complete path to be followed from the source to the destination. It should follow the same path. So for that, we can use this strict routing. Next, we have the loose source routing. It gives a list of routers not to be missed. That means if there are some 5 routers and 3 routers has to be followed by the datagram. So that will be indicated with loose source routing. And then we have something called as record route. It makes each router appended its IP address. So every router's information will be appended to its IP addresses. Similarly, we can have the timestamp, which makes it each router append its address and timestamp. We'll stop here, quickly give your attendance.